Chapter 19. The Final Showdown. Back in the Jinghara village, the animist priest was seething with anger. He could not believe that the strangers had convinced the majority of his people to turn to a strange new god. He knew that if he didn't act fast, his influence and power over the tribe would be lost forever. The animist priest sat in his dimly lit hut, surrounded by statues and idols of his gods. He was deep in thought as he listened to the report from one of his loyal followers. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. The Mangari tribe, one of the most hostile and feared tribes in the region, had turned to Jesus. They had set fire to many of the Jinghara houses, causing great loss and suffering to his people. But now, they had accepted the same strange new god as the Jinghara tribe. The priest's mind raced as he tried to process this new information. Could his village accept this? Could they accept that the tribe who had caused them so much pain and suffering had now turned to the same God as them? And a God requiring forgiveness? No! He knew this would be a hard pill for his people to swallow. He thought about the different ways he could prove his gods were more powerful than this new God. He thought about performing powerful rituals and sacrifices, summoning his gods to show their might and power. But deep down, he asked himself, what if it is not enough? He had to think of something else. Something that would truly prove the power of his gods. He thought about what Hisa people would want, what they would need to see in order to truly believe that his gods were more powerful. They needed to be feared. He needed to be feared because in fear lay power. He had to come up with something big. Something that would truly shake the foundations of their new faith. He sat in silence, thinking and planning. I must act fast before the Mangari tribe's newfound faith spreads like twice-breeding lemurs. He would stop at nothing to prove the power of his gods and keep his people from turning to this new god. He gathered his most loyal followers and began to plan his next move. The animist priest's face twisted in anger as he spoke of the Mangari tribe's recent conversion to the foreign god. How can this be? He exclaimed. The Mangari, our enemies, the ones who burned our homes and killed our people, have now turned to this strange new god. And what of us? Must we forgive now? Are we so weak? Are we to be outdone by man-eaters? He paced back and forth, his eyes scanning the faces of his followers, looking for any sign of doubt. Inside the tent, it was cramped and hot. The air was thick with the smell of burning incense, and the sound of drums echoed through the space. No. H spoke firmly. We will not be outdone. We will prove to our tribe that our gods are still very much alive and powerful. We show them that these so-called miracles of the foreign god are dead sticks compared to the power of our ancestors and our rituals. The light was dim, with the only source of light coming from a small fire that burned in the center of the room. The followers were packed tightly together, their bodies slick with sweat as they listened to the animist priest's commands. They sat cross-legged on the ground, their eyes fixed on the fire. He turned to his followers and commanded, "Make preparations for a grand ceremony. We will invoke the spirits of our ancestors and perform the most powerful rituals we know. We will show the tribe that our gods are still here, still watch over us, still protect us." It never seemed to dawn on him that these gods had not protected the village at all from the arson of man-eaters. The light flickered and danced, casting shadows on the walls of the tent. The followers nodded, their faces determined as they set to work, preparing for the ceremony that would prove once and for all the superiority of their idol gods. He ordered sacrifices of animals to be made, and began to gather rare herbs and plants for the ritual. He also started to make an idol of his most powerful god, using wood and clay, and covering it with gold and precious stones. He knew that the more impressive and grandiose the ceremony, the more likely it would be that the tribe would be swayed back to his side. The animist priest also began to spread rumors and lies about the strange god, telling the people that it was weak and powerless compared to their own gods. He told them that if they followed this new god, they would be cursed and punished by the ancestors. They had no Bible teacher to counter his evil words, nor had John yet thought about the need for one until now, and he was far away with another tribe. As the day of the ceremony approached, the animist priest felt confident that he would be able to win back the hearts and minds of the tribe. The priest walked confidently towards the chief of the elders, his followers trailing behind him. He bowed respectfully to the chief and spoke in a powerful voice. "Great chief, I come to request an audience with the tribe. I have something important to share with them, something that will prove the strength and power of our beloved ancestor gods." The chief looked at the priest with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. "What is it that you wish to share, priest?" "I wish to conduct an ancient ceremony that has not been performed in many years. I will invoke the spirits of our ancestors and perform powerful rituals to show the tribe that our gods are still very much alive and that this strange new god is nothing compared to them. I wish to prove to our people that they should not be swayed by the words of outsiders and that they should remain true to our traditions." The chief thought for a moment before nodding. "Very well, you may gather the tribe for your special announcement. But be warned, if your ceremony does not bring the results you claim, the tribe will not be pleased." The priest smiled confidently. "I have no doubt that the ancestors will speak through me and show the tribe the truth." "Thank you, great chief." He bowed again and turned to walk away, his followers following closely behind him. The chief watched him go, wondering. Later in the evening after dinner, when the tribe was sitting in the village center, the priest stood up, aware of the rising moon and all it had once meant to the village of shadows. "People of Jinghara," he began, his voice rising quickly to a shout. "We tricked by outsiders. They trick us to turn our backs on our ancestors and our gods. Where are they now? They gone, leaving us to face the consequences of our betrayal. No wonder the gods let fire burn you houses. The gods knew the evil betrayal in your hearts. A sign if the unfaithful." Several of the villagers who had lost their homes now shrunk back in fear, fearing how others would look at them, persecute them. The priest paced back and forth, his arms gesturing wildly. "But I tell you, the gods of our ancestors are still alive and powerful. They have not abandoned us. And if we have angered them with our adultery, we must make amends." He paused, his eyes scanning the crowd. "I have heard reports of the Mangari tribe, our enemies, turning to this strange new god. But I ask you, where is their protection now? Where are their gods when they need them? We must not make the same mistake." He slammed his fist against his chest. "I call upon the spirits of our ancestors to witness this ceremony. I will perform powerful rituals to show you that our gods are still very much alive and that they will protect us, if we only have faith in them." The crowd was silent, their eyes fixed on the priest as he continued to speak, his words ringing with passion and conviction. "If we continue to follow this foreign god, we risk bringing a curse upon our tribe. We must choose our gods or this strange new god." The villagers felt hate and fear creeping back into their hearts like a snake slithering through the grass. They remembered the terror they had felt before, when they thought the gods were angry. The animist priest stood before them, pointing to the sky, where the moon lay as an almost round silver leaf in the darkness. "We must fast for 2 days," he declared, "until the moon is full. Then I will perform the ceremony. I will prove to you that our gods are still powerful. They will show their strength and drive away this foreign god." The villagers looked at each other nervously, wondering what they had gotten themselves into. Some felt their stomachs grumble at the thought of fasting, while others felt a chill run down their spine as they remembered the last time the priest had performed a ceremony. They had all hoped that the foreigner's god would bring peace, but now it seemed that their troubles were far from over. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. John awoke with a start, staring up at the same moon that shone down on the village of the Jinghari. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss, a sense of need creeping into his mind like a river winding its way through his thoughts. He had just had another dream, one that felt like a premonition of something ominous to come. As he lay there, staring up at the sky, John reflected on the dream. It was a jumbled mess of images, but one stood out to him in particular: the village of shadows. The mountains surrounding the village seemed like giant warrior guards, keeping the people trapped in their own darkness, the sun never fully penetrating the gloom. The village was like a dark omen, a place where the light of hope struggled to shine. The shadows seemed to cling to it like a cloak, smothering any chance of growth or change. It was as if the very earth was trying to swallow it whole, to keep it trapped in the darkness forever. John couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to return to the village of shadows to see what lay hidden there in the darkness. It was as if his dream was calling out to him like a dark dove in the night. And so, with a weighted heart, John knew he must return to see what lay waiting for him in the dank dark. John lay back down and closed his eyes, but instead of drifting back into a peaceful slumber, he found himself plunged into another dream. This time, he saw a young tribal boy, no more than 10 years old, standing in a clearing surrounded by towering trees. The boy was calling out to him, his voice urgent and insistent. "Help me, please," he cried. "They're coming for me. I need you." John could feel the boy's fear and desperation as if it were his own. He tried to move towards him, but his feet felt heavy and unresponsive. He willed himself to wake up, but the dream held him firmly in its grip. The boy's cries grew more frantic as the sound of drums and chanting grew louder. Suddenly, a group of men wearing masks and carrying spears burst into the clearing. They encircled the boy, closing in on him, their eyes glowing with a pernicious intent. John tried to call out to the boy, to tell him he was coming, but his voice was caught in his throat. He felt his heart pounding, his chest tight. Must save him! He summoned all his willpower and broke free of the dream's hold, sitting bolt upright in his bed. His clothes stuck to him, and he breathed hard. He knew that the boy was not just a figment of his imagination, but a real boy in real danger. He knew he had to go back to the village of shadows. He had to help the boy. John sat up. "David! It's still night," David mumbled. "It's the Jinghara tribe," John said, his voice urgent. "I have to go back. Something is happening there that we need to be a part of." David groaned. He half listened to John talk about the boy calling out for help but was too sleepy to think clearly. "I should return to the Jinghara tribe with Amadi to translate. Susan, Dr. James, and Alyamide can remain with the Mangari for now. Wait for morning," David said and rolled over. "We'll go first light," John said, determination in his voice. "I can't ignore this call for help." As John returned to sleep, the moon shone down on the valley, casting the village in a soft, eerie light. The mountains loomed like shadows in the distance, a reminder of troubles ahead.